This is the first video in a little series through which I will try to help you out with your Zeta play in Granblue Fantasy Versus. A full-blown tutorial didn't really make much sense to me as the game's in-game tutorial does a pretty good job already. So instead, I want to go over some of Zeta stuff that could be considered a little more intricate. For today, it's just going to be some general tips and tricks, which should be useful, especially if you're new to Zeta. I'd really appreciate it if you could like the video, comment below, subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want to see more content like this. If you didn't like the video, feel free to hit the dislike button also, I appreciate the feedback regardless. Zeta has some moves that can be executed in the air, such as Spear of Arvess Fall for example. You can in fact initiate Arvess Fall from the ground. Simply input 282 plus an attack button and you will get an instant Arvess Fall. The same logic applies to a Resolute Strike, albeit the execution is a little more involved. In this case, you want to Tiger Knee the inputs, or TK for short. The terminology itself refers back to Sagat's Tiger Knee input and how it was done in Street Fighter 2 Turbo for example. In that case, it was a quarter circle forward that ended in up forward. In numpad notation, it would be 2369. Zeta can make use of this exact input for her Skybound art. If you're using the shortcut button, it's just 2369 and the ability button. If you're using the technical input, it's 236, 2369 and heavy. There seems to be a height restriction on this move, so you need to get off the ground for a few frames first. If you can't get it to come out, you're most likely hitting the ability or heavy button a little too early. While not an instant air move, there's another use for a TK input with Zeta, and that's for her Rhapsody knee assault. Usually, when your knee assault gets blocked at close range, you end up on the other side of your opponent, and any follow-up attack will be directed away from your opponent, like this. If you TK the input though, Zeta will turn around for the attack. I would not be able to tell you why that is though. The input in this case is 2147 and an attack button. 2147 might require some practice, but it's very useful, especially if your opponent has trouble anti-airing your knee assault and you'd like to further abuse it. I probably don't need to tell you this, but I see a lot of Zeta players not taking advantage of this. You can cancel your sweep into any special including your Skybound arts. In fact, because Zeta sweep hits twice, you can easily hit confirm with it. If the first part hits, you can buff a Resolute Strike and hit either heavy or the ability button as soon as the second hit connects. After any poke, you will most likely go for Spear of Arvess. If the poke hits, you can just go through with the corner carry. If the poke was blocked and you buffered Arvess already, don't forget that you can retreat. All you need to do is hold back and hit any attack button. You will need to be more thoughtful with your Spear of Arvess inputs when your opponent has a full Skybound meter. They might be able to catch you during your retreat, which will hurt a lot. Zeta wants to cancel most of her pokes into Spear of Arvess. But what do you do when it's on cooldown and you don't have any full Skybound meter? How do you end your auto combo now? Just hit and mash 5U. Make a habit out of tracking your cooldowns, and if Arvess is on cooldown, simply end on 5U. It also helps to waste time, meaning that Arvess should be available again shortly after. Infinite Wonders can be easily exploited by your opponent. Its startup is quite slow and very reactable. Once they are accustomed to it, they will be able to jump over or roll through your laser quite easily. To get around this, make sure to use both the light and medium versions of Infinite Wonders. The medium one's startup is even longer, but you can hold the medium button down and let go of the laser at a time you deem appropriate. This can be very annoying for your opponents, as you can thus punish rolling attempts and even full screen jumps. Keep in mind though that the laser is air blockable. Be very careful not to overextend with Infinite Wonders, especially against characters that have almost full screen Skybound arts. Rhapsody's light follow-up, Crimson Cleave, does a hefty chunk of chip damage. As you will get accustomed to using Rhapsody rather frequently, more competent opponents will bait out your parry attempts. In some instances where you made a wrong read and the opponent didn't respond either, you might want to consider using Crimson Cleave to still do some damage, even on block. Be aware though that the move is unsafe on block and highly punishable if not spaced out properly. These are all the little tidbits I can think of for now. If you know of any bits and pieces I might not be aware of, please leave them in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can also follow me on Twitch and Twitter, the links are in the description. My name's Sasa, and I'll see you in the next video.